morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this morning's video to unveil the 2024-2025 summer cruising season with Princess from Australia, Asia, and New Zealand, as well as our very much anticipated round world cruise for 2025. My name is Shaun Kavanagh. I am one of your two hosts today, and it gives me great pleasure to unveil this program to you, be it a new guest with Princess or one of our valued members of our Captain's Circle program. As mentioned, there are two hosts today. I am one. The other one is David Craven. David, come into the stream.
Thank you ever so much, Shawnee boy. Indeed, my name is David Craven, and I am the other key account manager, lucky enough to be based here in Australia/New Zealand. First, I will be talking you through the beautiful ships that will be calling Australia and New Zealand home. Then I will hand back over to Shaun as we unveil our summer 24-25 season, and then we will, of course, highlight our amazing world cruise that will be undertaken in 2025. So let's have a look at the three ships that are going to be calling Australia and New Zealand home for the 24-25 season. Kicking off with our Royal Princess. She returns for our second season down under after completing a fantastic season for 23-24. The Diamond Princess returns for the first time since 2018, where she was sailing our waters, and she was very much a beloved ship. But the very exciting thing is the Crown Princess will be calling Australia New Zealand home for our 24-25 season, as well as undertaking the longer sailings. So let's have a look at these ships individually, kicking off with the Royal Princess, who will be primarily based out of Sydney. She's the largest of the ships with a capacity of 3,560 guests. And because she's the chunkiest of the three ships, she's going to have the largest array of dining and bar options. So if you are a firm foodie, this is going to be the ship for you. But also, she's going to have the largest array of entertainment offerings of the three ships. She's also the newest, joining our fleet back in 2014. So looking at the most important thing on board, which is, of course, food. Plenty of included dining options. Going through the list there, we can see our World Fresh Marketplace located up on deck 16, buffet style service with our beautiful desserts, as well as breakfast and lunchtime offerings. International Cafe, which is open 24 hours. So if you are in dire need of something to eat at 3 in the morning, that is where you need to head. We've also got the Trident Grill, as well as our pizzeria up on the open deck. But then we've also got a pizzeria located on deck 6 on the midship, just in the piazza there, which is a fantastic wood-fired Italian-style pizzas. If you like pizzas, you're going to love Alfredo's. We've got 3 regular main dining options, which is where you're going to have your evening dinner. And also on those sea days, we do offer breakfast and lunch as well there. Remember, with Princess, we always offer 24-hour room service, complimentary, with a couple of nominal fees for some items, but let's face it, the room service is complimentary. Specialty dining on board the Royal Princess. We've got Sabatini's Trattoria, fantastic Italian style cuisine with freshly made pasta made daily. We've also got a firm Princess favorite in the Crown Grill, which is our superb steakhouse on board. If you like a steak, you can't really beat it. We've also got our Chef's Table Lumiere, which is actually the one that you can see pictured right here. That beautiful Murano glass feature in the middle of the table. There is only 12 seats available for this. So if you are keen to explore the Chef's Table Lumiere, make sure you're making that reservation on the very first day of embarkation. So make sure that you don't miss out. We've also got Ocean Terrace, which is our sushi, available on deck 7 in the piazza. And we've also got a gelateria on board the ship, down on deck 5 in the piazza, those Italian style ice creams, which everybody loves. Now, as I mentioned earlier, she is the largest of the ships, which means she's got plenty of entertainment venues on board. We've, of course, got the Princess Theatre, where you're going to find our Broadway style shows like Sweet Soul Music. That's going to be located deck 6 and 7 forward. But we've also got Vista Lounge, which is our secondary theatre space, located at the end of the ship, the aft of the ship, on deck 7. What we also have on the Royal Princess is Princess Live. Now, this is a fully working TV studio. Here you will find 5 proper TV cameras, which means that all the entertainment that is hosted in this venue, we can record, and then you can watch it at your own free will in your stateroom on your on-demand TV. So the great thing is, if there's a huge array of entertainment of an evening, you can't figure out what you want to kind of visit and watch and be entertained by, anything in Princess Live, it's going to be on your on-demand TV, so you can watch it whilst you're getting ready in the morning. Absolutely awesome venue, one of my firm favourites. We've got Club 6, which is our late night venue right next door to the casino on Club 6. Of course, we've got Crooner's Bar with the pianist playing to the early evenings, and a full array of sports equipment, places like a basketball court. We've got putt-putt. We've got just about everything for everyone, so you can do as much or as little as you like on board. She really is a wonderful, wonderful ship. Secondly, primarily based out of Brisbane and Melbourne, we have the gorgeous Diamond Princess. Slightly smaller than the Royal Princess, so she's got 2,600 guest capacity on board. And like I said before, the first time she's been sailing our waters since 2018. Now, what I would say with the Diamond Princess is she is the perfect ship for rejuvenation, okay? There are some unique experiences only offered on board the Diamond Princess, not just within Princess, but within cruising in general. Kicking it off with the fact that she is the only cruise ship to have a Japanese bathhouse at sea. So you can have that authentic Japanese onsen experience right on board the Diamond Princess. Great chance to soak away all the stresses whilst you're on board. So it really is awesome. We've got the Lotus Spa offering all of those treatments that you'd expect to see, as well as the Princess Luxury Bed. And she also has our Sanctuary. This is our adult-only space, giving you a chance to get away from all the hustle and bustle and soak up some vitamin D. Plenty of dining options on board. We've got our Horizon Court buffet area, Trident Grill, we've got Prego's Pizzeria, as well as 3 main dinings, all complimentary on board the Diamond. We do have some specialty dining options. We've got Sterling Steakhouse, which is our steakhouse on board our Diamond and our Sapphire Princess, our 2 gem class. We've also got Sabatini's Trattoria. And what is unique to the Diamond Princess is we have Kai Sushi. So authentic Japanese style sushi. And I don't know anybody who doesn't love sushi these days. So if you are a sushi lover, you're going to love the Diamond Princess. Something fairly unique to the Diamond Princess is our S8 2-bedroom suite. Okay, now this is ideal from multi-generational cruisers. Okay, this is a 2-bedroom suite which also has 2 pull-out sofa beds. So this means that this suite option will sleep up to 8 guests. Obviously, with that amount of guests, you need more than 1 bathroom. So she also have 2 bathrooms included in the suite experience with that large extended balcony. So there's more space, which is making it more ideal for those multi-generational cruises and families. There are only 2 on board the Diamond Princess, and they're located on deck 9, which is Dolphin Deck, all the way forward on the ship. So if you are keen to secure one of these 2 suites, you need to make sure you are first in, best dressed, because like I said, there's only 2 available. And last but certainly not least is our beautiful Crown Princess, making her inaugural season down under. Primarily going to be doing departures from Sydney. She will also be undertaking the longer sailings, things like the circumnavigation of Australia. Now you can see here the capacity is just shy of 3,100 guests. And she is the sister to the Emerald Princess, which was a firm favourite when the Emerald was located down under. She's got the perfect blend and balance of offering entertainment, food, and rejuvenation aplenty. So there is definitely plenty on board for our guests to enjoy. Loads of included dining here. So we've got the Horizon Court, we've got the Salty Dog Grill to get your burgers and hot dogs. We've got Slice Pizzeria, your 24 International Cafe, coffee and cones to get those barista style coffees. And of course, our 3 regular dining options are included. We have some specialty dining on board, Sabatini's Trattoria, and of course, the Crown Grill Steakhouse. Now, the location of Sabatini's is beautiful. It's located all the way at the after end of the ship and all the way up. Now, next door to Sabatini's is a superb bar, perfect for those guests dining in Sabatini's to come along, grab a drink before having a scrumptious Italian dinner. Now, like I said earlier, the beautiful Crown will be undertaking those larger sailings, things like the circumnavigation of Australia, which previously has been completed by our Coral Princess. Now, what this means is the Crown represents a 55% increase in options. Okay, so there's more capacity. So if you've ever missed out on doing those awesome circumnavigations or those longer sailings, you shouldn't be missing out now because she's a bit of a chunkier ship, which is awesome. We've got 440 interiors, 222 ocean views, 675 balconies, 178 mini suites, and 30 suites. That 3,100 passenger capacity. So you can see there plenty of opportunities for you to come on board. Now, the great thing is it doesn't matter which ship you're going to be sailing on, you will receive our fantastic Medallion class experience. The idea of the Medallion class is to better connect you to our guests, to your fellow travel passengers, and allow our superb crew on board to deliver the finest service at sea. So the Medallion is this little thing here. It's about the size of a dollar coin, and this has replaced the cruise card if you've not already experienced the Medallion class experience. When you come on board, everything is completely touchless, from ordering drinks, from purchasing something from our boutiques, to actually coming back to your stateroom. The door simply unlocks and you can walk straight in. It genuinely has revolutionized the entire industry and has revolutionized the way you cruise a princess. I know you are going to love it. But that's enough about the ships. It's now time to unveil some of these incredible sailings for the 24-25 season. Without further ado, I'll welcome back Shaun Kavanagh.
Thank you, Dave. Let me just make sure my audio is working. It looks to be fine, so we'll proceed on. So I'm going to take you through the summer sailings across the season, and Dave will come back and talk specifically to the World Cruise. So to look at the summer as an overview, for 24-25 for our program, there'll be over 60 destinations across Australia, New Zealand, the South Pacific, and Asia. And the summer program has 112 departures to choose from with 72 unique itineraries. We'll have 7 different home ports with the summer season. Our first ever round trip cruise from Hobart will be on offer, along with sailings from Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Auckland, and Perth. So let's take a closer look at what's on offer. We're going to start by looking at the repositionings. We'll start with Royal Princess. She'll sail south from Vancouver at the end of her Alaska season. On 21 September 2024, Royal leaves Vancouver for a 36-night trans-Pacific crossing all the way down to Sydney. There are options also for guests to join in Los Angeles for a 29-night LA to Sydney, a 23-night Honolulu to Sydney, and those 3 sailings, Vancouver, Sydney, LA, Sydney, and Honolulu, Sydney, all have the option for guests to disembark in Auckland. And there is also a 13-night Vancouver, Honolulu on the southbound as well. At the end of the season, once we wrap up the summer, Royal Princess will then head back to North America, presumably to sail the Alaska season again. 33-night sailing from Sydney to Vancouver. And again, guests have the option to disembark in Honolulu or Los Angeles. And to our Kiwi guests across the ditch, you too can sail Auckland, Honolulu, Auckland, LA, or Auckland, Vancouver. And again, on the northbound, there's a 13-night northbound Honolulu to Vancouver. So a lot of itinerary options within the southbound and the northbound repositionings for Royal Princess. To look at Crown, Princess, and Diamond. Crown also will come from North America, but she won't be going back. She'll stay in Australia at the end of the summer season, and Dave will speak more to that shortly. The Crown will sail from San Francisco on the 24th of September for Sydney. And again, guests are able to disembark or embark in Auckland. For those of you who are wine connoisseurs, I point your attention to the middle itinerary on the top row, that 6-night Auckland to Sydney. For any wine connoisseurs, this is one of the best itineraries going in this part of the world. If you don't want a long cruise, you've got 3 wine districts within the one voyage. You've got Napier for the Hawke's Bay, you've got the Wairarapa, which is accessible from Wellington, and the Marlborough Sounds, which is accessible from Picton, all within driving distance of these ports. Now, once the Crown arrives into Sydney, she will then complete one of 2 circumnavigations of Australia, our very popular 28-night round trip sailings, and they will head south from Sydney towards Melbourne, Adelaide, and so forth. Now, the difference in this deployment is that guests have the option to do a Southern Australia Explorer going Sydney to Adelaide, Sydney to Melbourne, or Sydney round to Perth. Equally, you're able to join the Round Australia sailing in Melbourne or Adelaide, or in Perth, be it for the Northern Explorer back to Sydney. And again, we have 2 Round Australias, one in October and the other in March of 2025. Diamond Princess will sail from Yokohama, Japan to Australia. She sails on the 4th of September at the end of her Japan summer season. She'll sail all the way to Adelaide with options to disembark along the way in Brisbane, Sydney, or Melbourne. And she will have her summer season split between South Australia and Victoria for one half of the season and the other part of the season in Queensland, based out of Brisbane. And I'll touch on those differences shortly. At the end of her season in Australia, she will sail back to Yokohama from Brisbane and Sydney. Both cities have an option to depart from. As to look more specifically, at the unique ports, we're going to start with Sydney. So 2 ships on offer with Royal and Crown Princess for the summer season. Between them, over a dozen voyages to and from New Zealand, some of which are round trip, others are open jaw, whereby you sail Sydney to Auckland or Auckland back to Sydney. There are 4 different options to sail to Tasmania, be it a shorter seacation or a longer 7-night variation as seen on screen. There are 3 Fiji voyages across the summer, plus an 11-night Newcastle and Vanuatu itinerary. And almost half a dozen Queensland sailings available too, plus nearly a dozen of different options of the Northern or Southern Explorer, either to or from Sydney, Brisbane, and Perth. Moving to Melbourne. So like I said, the Diamond Princess will sail from Yokohama down to Adelaide. She will call into Melbourne first. She actually arrives into Melbourne on the last Saturday in September of 2024 for any AFL enthusiasts. Hopefully you've already connected the dots. Diamond will arrive into Melbourne on AFL Grand Final Day. Now, we're looking at the logistics of that right now, what we can do around that. No promises, but we're trying to drive something unique with that in itself. On arrival into Melbourne, first up is a 7-night Southern Australia Explorer voyage, and that feeds into one of 3 round-trip sailings to and from Adelaide, which I'll cover in the next slide. But in total from Melbourne, there are 3 round-trip New Zealand sailings. There are 4 Southern Australia Explorer voyages, plus 2 options to pick up the 24-night round Australia Melbourne to Sydney. So while it's not a full circumnavigation, Melbourne, it's a 24-night round Australia Melbourne back to Sydney. They sail 30 October and 23 March. In mid-December, Diamond Princess will then reposition northbound back to Brisbane for the second half of her season. Now, while we're focusing on those southern states, we'll talk about SA, WA, and Tas. So for our guests in WA, there's a variety of departures on Northern or Southern Explorers to join, be it in Sydney or Brisbane from Perth or vice versa. And the beauty with these Northern Explorers is the subsequent voyages before and after. As an example, the final Northern Explorer of the season is on the 3rd of May from Fremantle to Sydney. There's also an option to disembark in Brisbane. But straight after that voyage into Sydney is a 15-night Sydney round trip to the Fijian Islands via Auckland on the way home. Now, you could line it up to do an Indian Pacific Rail journey, join in Fremantle, sail Northern Explorer to Sydney, and then out to the islands and back to Sydney as an example. For our guests in South Australia, you've got 2 options to join the 22-night round Australia sailing from Adelaide to Sydney. Plus, there are 3 options to cruise Adelaide round trip to New Zealand, ranging from 19 to 21 nights in length. And there's also a new 8-night Southern Australia Explorer as Diamond sails north to Brisbane. That itinerary is bottom left of screen, sailing 3 December 2024. And for our guests in Tasmania, exciting news. You'll have your first ever Hobart round trip cruise to New Zealand, sailing on the 14th of November 2024 for 18 nights. Either side of this, there's a 4-night southbound Sydney to Hobart Seacation, followed by a 5-night Hobart to Sydney Seacation. And finally, for our guests in Queensland. So as I said, Diamond Princess will then move into Brisbane at the second half of the season, so close to Christmas. Specifically at the voyages on offer, there are close to a dozen round-trip sailings across the 3 months she's in Queensland, namely Brisbane, including 3 round trips to New Zealand, a 10-night Tasmania sailing, as seen on screen, a 7-night Queensland cruise, plus an 11-night Queensland and New South Wales cruise finishing in Sydney. That being the top right of screen, you can see right now. And as I mentioned, there's also the 2 round Australias. Now, the first one is a 26-night Sydney embark, Brisbane disembark. So it's 26 nights. It's not the full loop. That sails 26 October 2024. But there is also the option for a full 28-night round Australia to and from Brisbane, sailing 17 March 2025. And that will be on Crown Princess. So Crown will come through Brisbane on her round Australias, but otherwise it is Diamond Princess predominantly in Brisbane from December through to February. With those round Australias on Crown, there are options for Southern and Northern Explorers. In total, 5 different options to choose from. And like I said earlier, at the end of the season, Diamond will reposition to Japan on a 26-night repositioning voyage, sailing the 17th of Feb 2025 to Yokohama. For our friends across the ditch in New Zealand, there are 2 30-night New Zealand open jaw voyages. These voyages start in Sydney, finish in Auckland, or vice versa. There's also a shorter 9-night variation sailing on the 6th of Feb 2025. There are also 2 dedicated Auckland round trips on Royal Princess. And as I referenced at the start of the presentation with the southbound and northbound repositionings, you can join in Auckland and sail to Sydney, or join in Sydney and sail to Auckland as the respective ships move to this part of the world or from this part of the world. I think what's most unique, though, for our Kiwi guests is this new 11-night Sydney to Auckland cruise via Noumea, Mystery Island, Suva and Ravuni Island, Bay of Islands, and back into Auckland. And like I said before with our guests in WA, for our Kiwi guests here, you have the option to visit the east coast of Australia if you've got the propensity to do it. Join the Indian Pacific and rail across South Australia and WA into Fremantle, a Northern Explorer from Fremantle across to Sydney, and then an 11-night Sydney to Auckland voyage via Fiji, which coincidentally is where the Auckland World Cruise begins. You'll also see scattered across the program are a number of coastal and shorter voyages, great for multi-generational travelers, for first-time guests, and a great way for you as our past guests to invite some of your friends on board for their first princess, and hopefully many more. Now, if you are booking on this new summer deployment, be it a 3-night cruise or a 15-night voyage, as a past passenger of Princess, we are offering an initial $100 per person Captain Circle saving on the summer sailings only. Okay, you need to book before the 31st of July for that offer to be eligible. You need to use your Captain Circle number, and that calculation will auto apply when your booking is made. With that said, I'm going to hand the reins back to David. David, come back to the stream, and David's going to talk to you about the more exciting part. I think it's the most exciting part of this program, the World Cruise. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you kindly. So there are some fantastic sailings right there for the summer season. But as Shaun said, if you do have a little bit more time on your hands, then we do offer the only World Cruise, which is available from Australia, New Zealand. Now, there are 3 different options. You can do the World Cruise from Auckland, or from Sydney, or indeed from the Sunshine State where I'm located here in sunny Brisbane. Now, for this launch, there are a number of exciting things. You are going to visit 49 destinations across 28 countries. You will visit 6 continents. The only one we're missing out is Antarctica. You will cross the equator twice, and you'll have 10 late night calls, which do include 2 overnight in New York, as well as Callao in Lima. Now, we will have 9 maiden ports for this sailing, which will include Early Beach, Casablanca, of course, in Morocco, Chania, which is in Crete, Greece, Haifa to get to Galilee and Nazareth, Mallorca, beautiful destination in Spain, Bilbao on the northern side of Spain, Bordeaux, Sognefjord, which is at the very top of Norway, as well as Lofoten Islands. Okay, so plenty of new destinations being explored, whether or not this is your first time cruising a world cruise, or if you've done multiple of these departures. Now, I touched on it earlier, but the difference between the Crown Princess and the Coral Princess, the Coral Princess was our ship used for the last couple of world cruises. There is 230% increase in interiors and obstructed ocean view compared to the Coral. There is 28% increase in balconies. There is a level capacity of mini suites, and most importantly, an 88% increase in suite categories. So if previously you have missed out securing your spots on a world cruise, there shouldn't be that happening to you this time, because there is plenty of opportunities. Without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to highlight our incredible world cruise for 2025. So she will be departing Auckland on the 31st of May 2025, departing Sydney on the 4th of June, and then departing Brisbane on the 6th of June. Regardless of when you're departing, you will undertake the longest world cruise that we have ever offered for the Australia-New Zealand market, which is 113 days. Also, the Crown Princess is the largest ship to ever undertake a world cruise, not just for Princess, but in the industry. So this is a huge offering, giving you chance to literally circumnavigate the beautiful planet. But of course, if you don't have a full 113 days up your sleeve, then we do offer things called liners. This will give you a chance to sail from the Southern Hemisphere to the Northern Hemisphere. So this is a northbound liner, giving you a chance to jump on in Auckland, Sydney, or Brisbane to make your way to my old hometown, Dover, which is just south of London. Alternatively, if you would prefer to fly to the UK and cruise south, we of course offer southern liners. So the length of the sailings you can see on the screen right there. Now, of course, we will offer additional benefits by booking early. Okay, so if you are booking before the 31st of October, you will receive a saving of $1,000 per person on the full world cruise, and on those liners, which are 50 to 77 nights, you'll save $400 per person. Okay, so that's making sure that you are booking before the 31st of October. Let me refresh that. This is to receive $1,000 onboard credit per person on the full world cruise, $400 onboard credit for those liners. I do apologize. You will receive additional onboard credit. What I was talking about is for those Captain Circle members, for all of our guests who have sailed with Princess before, regardless if you've cruised once or whether you've cruised a million times with us, if you are booking the full world cruise, then you will save $1,000 per person on the full world cruise and $500 per person on the liners. So my apologies there. Let me refresh and make sure I've made that nice and clear. If, regardless if you've cruised with Princess or not, by booking before the 31st of October this year, 2023, you will receive $1,000 per person on board credit, and on the liners, $400 onboard credit per person, and that is available whether or not you have cruised with Princess previously. If you have cruised with Princess, regardless if you're a gold tier or an elite guest, you will receive additional perks as our way to say thank you to you for your loyalty to Princess. By booking before the 31st of October, you will receive a saving of $1,000 per person off the launch fare price, or $500 per person on the liners. All right. So that's our way to say thank you so much for your continued loyalty with Princess. Now, with that, I'm going to welcome back Mr. Kavanagh as we talk about the different offerings on board in terms of fare types. Shaun.
Thanks, David. Clear as day. Thank you, sir. So, as you may be aware, we've introduced a multiple fare structure now. So when you are sailing, you have the option to have just the bare bones fare type or have an all-inclusive option or somewhere in the middle. So there's 3 fares. I'll start with, I guess, the bare bones, for lack of better terms. We call this Princess Standard. And this is basically what you're used to booking in years gone by, whereby you've simply got your cruise fare paid for and all the traditional inclusions that you would expect. This is the best price proposition, if you will. But as you get on board, you might decide, well, I wouldn't mind a drink or two. I might make use of the gym, and that's where Princess Plus or Princess Premier then becomes more relevant. So Princess Plus sits in the middle. The big difference between Princess Standard and Princess Plus is access to the Plus beverage package. So beverages up to 22 Australian dollars. Alcoholic beverages up to the value of 22 Australian dollars. You get Wi-Fi included per person for 1 device per guest, 2 premium desserts per day, 2 fitness classes per cruise, and unlimited access to the juice bar. Now, this price is at 65 Australian dollars per person per day, and it represents an overall saving of 60% if you were to purchase those items or purchase those unique packages, the Wi-Fi and the beverage package as retail items on board. So you've got to crunch the numbers, but look at what you'd typically spend in terms of a day in terms of coffee, beverages, desserts, gym passes. This may represent better value. It may not. It's up to the individual. The next fare we have in this multiple fare approach is Princess Premier, and this is the all-inclusive, if you will. I wouldn't say it's completely fully inclusive, but it's the top tier option. So on top of what I've already highlighted, included in Princess Premier is our photo package, specialty dining cover charge for the guests with the fare type. Our Premier beverage package, now that includes drinks up to the value of 30 Australian dollars each, which is almost every drink on board by the glass or the individual item, if you will. There's up to 4 devices per guest with Wi-Fi, unlimited premium desserts, unlimited fitness classes, unlimited juice bar. You get a complimentary medallion accessory. As well as that, you have reserved theatre seating for our production shows. Now, this comes at 95 Australian per person per day. Again, it's going to come down to the individual, but when you look at some of the inclusions in the Princess Premier beverage package, it's well worth its value. But again, it's up to the individual. Now, you can purchase these different fares at different times. You might decide to purchase the cruise up front and add on the Plus or the Premier package before you sail with your travel agent or with Princess. It's completely up to you. You can buy the all-inclusive fare, Plus or Premier, when you book your cruise. We also now give you the option to pay for the package on day one of your voyage as well. So plenty of chances to consider. It's not a hard sell. It's if you see the value and you see the benefit in it, by all means do it. But we do give you the option to choose the standard, the Plus, or the Premier fare. David.
And they really are good value. So if you kind of think of a typical day on board, you wake up, you may go to the gym, one of the classes, they're about $20. You then head to go and have some breakfast, get one of the juices, they're about $10. We're halfway there to a Princess Plus, and we've not even kind of started our day quite yet. Get a barista style coffee, $6. We want to take a picture and send it to all our friends and family on social media and rub it in to highlight that we're having the best time ever. And we've pretty much hit that $65 quota. So it's all about value. And there is plenty of value in these offerings. There really, really is. But it's got to be the right offering for you. Now, I can hear all of you screaming, when can I book? I'm desperate to book all of these things. I'm excited. For our elite passengers, you get your 24-hour priority access to all of these sailings, including the World Cruise. So you can book from Tuesday, the 4th of April, from 9 a.m. AEST. So Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you are not an elite guest, then you will be able to book your cruise when we go live with a general public sale, which is the following day, Wednesday, the 5th of April at 9 a.m. So make sure you are in regular communication with your travel agent, ensuring that you're selecting the right cabin, the right cruise, and all those different kind of things. Alternatively, if you do book with Princess Direct, definitely speak to your CHP or reservations consultant. And of course, there are a few top tips that we would like to share with you, because we want to make sure that you don't miss out on this amazing launch and that you're making the most of this. So some key things, I suppose a few reminders, Shaun.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Dave alluded to, our elite guests have that priority access. There's only one way that we know that you're elite. Well, our system knows that you're elite, and it's with your Captain Circle number. So be it you're booking directly or with your travel agent, please ensure you have your correct Captain Circle number that shows you as elite. So please know your tier as well. You need to have completed 15 voyages or done more than 151 days with us to be elite. Future cruise deposits. If you have sailed with us recently and you have purchased a future cruise deposit, or you've had one from before 2020 that's been rolled on, these are eligible to be used on all of the summer voyages. Remember, when you use or redeem your future cruise deposit on a future booking, the money you prepay, that $100 per person, will cover the deposit requirements on a summer sailing. So anything less than 45 nights, that $100 means no further funds are required. You'll also earn extra onboard spending money on that booking, and that is determined by the stateroom that you book and the length of the cruise that you book. For guests who are booking on our world cruise, be it liners or full voyages, Dave, you want to explain how it works on the longer voyages, future cruise deposits?
Of course. Now, because we're talking about a little bit of a longer sailing, the $100 doesn't quite cover the deposit. The reason is, for sailings 46 nights and longer, we don't require one deposit, but we actually require two at separate times. The first deposit is 10%, and the second deposit, a few months later, is going to be 20%. Okay. Now, if you do have a future cruise deposit, you can utilize it towards that world cruise sailing, but it's not going to secure it. You won't get the onboard credit, but you will get some incredible benefits. Instead of the first deposit being 10%, it gets reduced to simply 5%, which means it's less to worry about now. Just worry about the final payment and second deposit further down the line. Then your second deposit goes from 20% down to 10%. So we've reduced the deposit requirements by half. But most importantly, you will actually receive a 3% reduction in the cruise fare. So on average, we're talking about $1,650 savings. Now, as an additional kicker, because we broke our promise, you couldn't actually secure your cruise with your future cruise deposit, we will refund that $100 back to you. So you are going to receive all of those benefits free of charge. So it's a really, really great deal. And of course, if you've cruised recently with us, then you may even be able to secure one of these future cruise deposits. Tell me more, Shaun.
Yeah, so we do offer a welcome home future cruise deposit program. So be it you've booked with a travel agent or you've booked directly, you can contact either of those sources and say, hey, I got off a cruise a month ago. I had a great time. I heard about the future cruise sales program, but I didn't do it on board. Do I have the option to do it now? And you do. If you're within 60 days of your last day on board, or the day you disembarked, you can purchase a welcome home future cruise deposit. The onboard credit that comes attached to that is slightly less versus had you booked it or purchased it on board, but the same benefits for that next voyage you book will apply. So again, it's called the welcome home future cruise deposit or post cruise deposit, and you can activate it on your most recent voyage provided you're within 60 days of your disembarkation. If you have any questions, you can contact your travel agent or you can contact our direct team who will be able to talk you through that.
Superb opportunity for all that. So hopefully you're as excited as we are for our awesome summer season, as well as the iconic round world cruise. Make sure you contact your travel agent to get your ducks in a row to make sure you're making the most of this season. Thank you so much, sincerely, for joining this presentation. We can't wait to welcome you back on board. Or if you've never cruised with us before, we can't wait to make you part of the Princess family. So from David Craven,
And from Shaun,
all the
thank
very
you.
best, and we look forward to welcoming you on board. Here's a short video to kind of get you salivating over our fantastic launch. Thank you again, and all the best.